Welcome to Beautifully Built, the podcast where we design more than spaces. We design lives that are big, bold, and beautifully built. I'm your host, Karen Otis-Webb, architect, author, and unapologetic life builder, forever curious about building with purpose, passion, and personal vision. This podcast is about the design of your life. Messy, meaningful, raw, and real. From relationships and reinvention to business, purpose, and everything in between. We're stripping it down to what really matters. You'll get the grit and the grace, the vision and the vulnerability, because a life worth living isn't found, it's built. Hello, everyone. Today, I'm thrilled to welcome Madison Myers to Beautifully Built. You may know Madison from her time on the hit reality series Married at First Sight, where she courageously stepped into one of the most unconventional social experiments, meeting and marrying her partner at the altar, sight unseen. Not only had she never seen him before, she'd never even had a single conversation with him, didn't know his name, nothing. Beyond the cameras and the drama, Madison has a story of resilience, vulnerability, and growth. She's been open about the lessons she's learned about marriage, about herself, and about what it really means to build a life on your own terms. We're going to dive into her journey, the reality of reality TV, and what life has looked like for her since the show. Madison, welcome. I'm so glad you're here.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So I was so hooked onto this season. I mean, riveted. And it's interesting because I think I watched one of the seasons early on, and then I didn't watch for a very long time. And so I'm thrilled that I hopped back on it on your season.
Oh, good.
It was
I'm glad.
quite good. Yeah. So if anybody out there hasn't seen it yet, you're probably going to want to. We may have some spoilers here. So, watch it if you need to quickly before. Okay. All right. Because a lot happens. Okay. So let's start with the one big question, which is how in the world did you decide to do this? It is the most, honestly, you literally walk down the aisle to marry a total stranger. I'm sure you've been dating before. You're a beautiful girl. So what made you decide to go do this?
Honestly, very good question. So when I first moved to Chicago, so I'm originally from Colorado, and I moved to Chicago back in the spring of 2022. And in Colorado, I had had long-term relationships before, and all of my past relationships have always been a little bit more toxic, or just, there's always more missing. Couples fight, but this was just too much, where the men that I was with didn't accept who I was, and I wasn't the best version of myself for them as well. And so it just created this really bad, environment for both people. So when I moved to Chicago, I didn't really date at first. And then I had started, I got on the apps, and I just realized that, dating in this digital world that we live in is very difficult. People don't want to commit. They always think the grass is greener on the other side. It's a very, bachelor and bachelorette-esque environment. So I was just kind of, chilling, and I actually was reached out to on Instagram from one of the casting producers, and they were like, "Hey, we're coming to Chicago for Married at First Sight. We think that you would be great if you want to apply." And I had heard of the show before, but I'd never actually really watched it. And so I texted my girlfriends, and I was like, "What is this?" And one of my friends is a huge fan, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, they have these experts that match you based off of, all these, questionnaires and interviews. And then you basically marry the person that you're matched with, and you meet them the day of your wedding." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, that sounds..."
It's so trusting of the experts.
Yeah,
it's holy cow.
Giving my entire future
to
a handful of people who don't know who I am. So in my mind, I was like, you know what? What's the word? What do I have to lose? Right. My first thought was there's no way I'll get picked because, I don't know how many people actually applied for this.
Right.
And I was like, if I don't apply, I might regret it. So I did. And then as I started getting farther into the process, I was like, oh, I think this actually has a high possibility of happening, because I told my dad and my family, and I was like, "Guys, just FYI, you might be coming out to Chicago in a couple weeks for my wedding." So,
how did they take it? First of all,
honestly, I'm kind of I'm kind of the one, like, family member who's always just been the adventurous one. Like, I'm the only one that left Colorado. I studied abroad when I was in college. I've always kind of been the one to just take chances and, do crazy spontaneous things, and so I think my dad's words were like, "If anyone in our family was gonna do this, it's you."
Okay, good, good.
I was like, "Well, thanks, dad." So, honestly,
Yeah.
everyone was super supportive, which is great.
Really? Okay, that's
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
They were like, "You know what? Best case scenario, you find the love of your life, and worst case scenario, you're exactly where you are, today in
Yeah,
terms of dating." And that
exactly.
that was
Yeah.
kind of my mindset of, "What do I have to lose?" Right?
Right,
If I
right.
end up finding my person, which is the primary goal, amazing. And if I don't, I'm just gonna go back to the dating world, which is exactly where I was before.
Right, right. Okay. And it's interesting that you say that about, because I do think there is a problem with dating in today's world. It's just not the same. I mean,
Oh, it's so
I
bad.
it's so bad and I don't think it has to do necessarily with just online dating because I mean, I found my husband online dating.
Yeah.
Years ago, but that's how we met and I know a lot of people who have. But there's something else I think you're right in our culture right now. And maybe it is that, you can just swipe left or right, whatever. And it's like, you don't really have to commit. You're right. It takes, you can play this game for a really long time before you commit to anybody. And I think that's the biggest culprit. Everybody stays in that very casual dating pool. I think you're right.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I see it
And
with
this
my friends.
doesn't have room for it. This has no room
Right.
for it. This is like, oh
Absolutely,
no, you're
yeah.
getting married. You're committed.
Like, you're doing it. You don't have a choice.
Right. But in a way, it's nice because then everybody has that same goal, right? Because I feel like sometimes in the dating world, you don't know what their goal is. Their goal might just be just to casually date
Oh,
forever.
for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then you got to wait to have like the conversation. Where exactly are we? What are we?
Yeah. What are
Ugh.
we? What are we
Uh huh.
doing? And in this case, it's like, "Oh, we're married." We're just doing it.
Right. Exactly. Okay. So first of all, what were your thoughts as you were literally walking down the aisle?
Gosh, I feel like I just had so many different emotions. I feel like overall I was very, very excited. Like, I was really excited for the experience. I was really excited to see who they had matched me with.
Hmm.
Obviously, I had a little bit of nerves, but I hadn't really watched the series before, so I don't really know what to expect also.
You
And
didn't
and I
watch it at all, even when you got picked, you still didn't?
Yeah, so,
Okay.
like, I
Okay.
ended up watching, like, a couple of episodes from, like, I think the Nashville season and then the San Diego season. I did not definitely watch, like, the whole series, so I at least knew the gist of everything,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I had my dad and my brother walk me down the aisle, and I feel like I was just super excited, nervous, and just had no idea what my journey was about to be, and if I had a crystal
Right.
ball to tell me that I'd be where I am now, it's kinda crazy. It's crazy how everything
It
panned out
is.
and where I'm at
Yeah,
now.
so we'll get to that because it definitely took a total turn, and I was like, "Wait a minute, what is happening?" And I already had you scheduled for this, and I'm like, "Oh my god, this is changing on us." Okay, so we'll get to that. But first, so the experts, let's talk about the experts because 'cause they're the ones that paired you with Alan,
Mhm.
who you married. So tell me a little about the experts. What did you think about their process? Was it a good process? Do you think their insight was super helpful and do you think they got to know you enough?
Yeah, I mean, I think the overall, like, selection process is very in-depth, and I think that's why I really appreciated how much I had to go through before the selection because it made me feel like I really did get a good representation of who I am, and we get to meet with the experts beforehand as well and do, like, 45-minute interviews with them, and so, they only get that small chunk of you and then, like, whatever application answers you put on paper. Take it with what you will of how much they actually know you.
Yeah, yeah.
I like to think they still get a little piece of your personality when they get to meet you in person versus over paper, right, which is great.
Right, right.
Um, and I appreciate kind of their thought process. I think my only, like, big critique of it is that people now, they value things differently in the dating world and communication and in terms of what they look for in a partner. And I
Mhm,
feel like sometimes their selection is based off of maybe more traditional or things that maybe they would think are important, not
mm,
necessarily what the individuals that are part of the process think are important, if that makes
right.
sense. Um, because for me, and I know for this for a lot of people, like, yes, you need to have, like, your core values, right? Like, if you or if, like, do you want kids? Do you not want kids? Are you religious or not religious? Like, there's certain things that are, like, true deal breakers, but for me, a big thing that I highlighted on was, like, my lifestyle, and lifestyle is, like, what do you do for fun, your hobbies, your likes, your dislikes, It's okay to have differences in a partner, but, like, when it's just you guys, like, don't you wanna be doing some of the same things that you both like, at the end of the day? Like, I don't want a partner who's gonna be in the other room playing video games for 15 hours while I'm like, "All right, well, I'll just online shop, I guess." Like,
Right, right.
I wanna watch a football game or I wanna go to a concert, I wanna go work out, those things are important to me, and I think those were certain things that kinda got left out of
I
my
see.
match.
Yeah, which are really important because it's about like
Yeah,
what you
live your life.
enjoy and you want to
Yeah,
enjoy your life together. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. Which kind of showed up in some of the issues that you had married to Alan, right?
yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So, okay. So first of all, the whole experience, did it change your perspective on marriage or did it stay the same? What do you think? Because then you basically got a taste of being married and like
Yes.
what do you think about it now?
Yeah, so honestly, it changed my perspective a lot in terms of like partnership and marriage just
Hmm.
overall. I feel like in my past relationships, I've been a little bit more selfish and I did see that in parts of me in my, beginning stages with Alan, going out and hanging out with my friends,
Right.
staying out late because I want to, those types of things that, I had done in my previous relationships because I was in maybe not happy relationships and it's kind of my escape. But honestly, like on the flip side now, being with David, and I know we'll get more into like that I'm sure
Yeah,
later, but I don't wanna stay out late, like,
exactly.
I
Okay.
want to
Yep.
I want to come home with him, and it's like, I've seen a huge shift in me personally of I know I got painted as, the party girl or the one that stays out all the time, but, like, they really do say that when you find someone that you wanna be with, you don't want to be out without them,
Right.
right? And I
Exactly. Or you want to be out with them.
Or with them, exactly, you're not trying
Exactly.
to
But
escape,
yep,
which
that's
is what I've
interesting.
had
I
to
could
do.
see
Yeah,
that. Okay.
yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah, because okay, so we'll let people kind of know. So you were with Dave. I'm sorry, you were with Alan,
Mhm.
and it seemed to start out okay. Although I'm sorry, I have to agree with you. Those broccoli, whatever, were those shorts or underwear? No, no, no.
Not the best, not the best
Not
for
the best. Okay.
well,
And
it's okay.
it's interesting because, you're like, you're finding out stuff and you probably everything you're finding out, you're kind of weighing like, am I good with that? Am I not? Is that kind of how it felt?
Oh, for sure, I mean, when you first meet this, like, it is honestly such a surreal experience, right? Because, like, you just met this person, so they are a complete stranger to you, but then you get married to them, so they are your
Right.
husband, and it's like, in any relationship, whether it's a friendship, a marriage, whatever, you have to compromise and you have to pick and choose of, like, what's really gonna give you, like,
Yes.
the ick or what are you, like, okay
Yes.
with, and you definitely have to challenge yourself of, like, "Okay, this isn't the end of the world, it's just different,
Right.
something you haven't experienced. Can you get over it? Can we move past it?" And it's
Yeah.
yeah, it's a very interesting, like, internal because I know some of the other, people went through the same thing too, right? You obviously don't get everything that you quote unquote asked for that you think you want, but it's about navigating that and figuring out what's truly important to you, right?
Right. Right. Okay. Yep. And I get that. And it's funny because from my prior earlier dating days, my friends and I always had like, oh God, if you got the ick, that was like bad. If you got the ick,
Right,
sometimes the ick never goes away. I mean,
right, right.
once you get that, like I've not had the ick with my husband ever, and we've
Oh,
been
good,
together
good.
now, I don't even know, like 15 years. Um, but every other relationship, yeah, I'd get the ick, and you're like, oh God,
You're like,
it's here.
"No."
And
You're
then
like,
once
"Damn
it's
it."
there, yeah, you're like, dang it, how do I get
It's a
rid of
little
it?
hard to get rid of it.
Very hard to get rid of, right? Okay. So do you think you had the ick right away? Do you feel like it happened at a certain point in the marriage with Alan?
Yeah, I definitely don't think anything, like, super adverse happened right away.
Mhm. Mhm.
I know that, like, you have such a high going into the wedding day where, I had told myself because
Yeah.
my friends and my parents, they were just like, "Okay, well, what if the person at the end of the aisle isn't, who you think? What if you're not attracted
Yeah.
to them? What about all this?" And I was like, "You know what? on the wedding day, I'm gonna have the absolute best time because we both came into this super vulnerable. We're in the same exact position, and all my friends and family are here, or the
Yeah.
closest ones, and we're gonna have the best day. And then I can panic afterwards if I like need to, right? Because
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
want to ruin. I had heard about the Denver season with like the runaway bride and all of that stuff,
Oh,
and like
was there? I didn't know. I might have to now watch
yeah,
the
yeah,
Denver season.
yeah, the
Okay.
Denver season. They had like a runaway bride who didn't even like. I think she made it down the aisle, but then she like ended up leaving, and so
Oh, I see. Okay.
yeah, it was pretty sad, and I'm in my mind, I was like, "I'm not going to ruin this day for anybody,
Okay.
even if
That
it's
makes
something."
sense.
Yeah, because I wanted to make sure that we were both comfortable, we both just did this crazy, crazy
Yeah.
thing and
Yeah.
married strangers, and we're gonna have the best time.
Okay. Which is really good because I will say, like, you and Michelle are very different. I mean, like night and day, I
Yeah,
think.
I
So,
would agree.
right. Okay. So, for those of you that haven't watched but don't mind the spoiler or want to hear this, Michelle was paired with David, who now is Madison's guy. So, they were paired up. And so, Michelle, even at the wedding got kind of ruined in a
Yeah,
way. I mean, she really couldn't wait till later to sort some of that out. And that was painful to watch. That was hard to
yeah,
watch. Yeah.
yeah.
Now, did you watch the whole thing when it came out? And
I did.
did
Yeah,
you,
it's
okay.
kinda crazy because I actually and I said this in a different podcast actually earlier this week that I started therapy about like a month and a half before the show aired, and I'm so glad that I did because I had so much anxiety going into the
Yeah.
season, just not knowing how things were gonna be put together, not having a good feeling about it, just knowing
Yeah.
wrapping up, but just, like, not really fully like, understanding how it was gonna come out, and she helped me get through it, and I didn't wanna watch it, or I didn't wanna watch some parts, and her kind of guidance was, "How are we going to tackle your anxiety and face this if you don't actually watch it?" It's you're kind of
Yeah.
running away
Yeah.
from the problem or running
Very
away
true.
from fear, and
Yeah.
I was like, "You know what? I'm really glad that I did because I was able to do a couple of things with it." I was able to, 1, like, laugh in the times when I know that I could, when I was like, "Okay, like, that was the most, like, ridiculous thing ever." Make some
Hmm.
comedy from it, but then also just, like, learn a lot and, like, really reflect and, like, humble myself of, I'm a human being, I make
Hmm.
mistakes, I'm not perfect, I'm a real person, just like any other real person
Yep. Yep.
who, mine just happened to get caught on national TV where, this is a normal this is a not a normal life situation, right?
Not at
And
all. Yeah.
you're being constantly filmed all the time, so every interaction is being exploited, and
Yeah.
having
Yeah.
to deal with your response when you have cameras in your faces,
Mm.
and how they're able to put things together is just it's kind of a interesting experience. So it
Right.
was
And so you didn't get to see it till the whole world got to see it, right?
yeah, we were all watching it together.
Were you all? Who
Oh
got
yeah.
together to watch?
Oh yeah. So well, me and David watched most of it together. But I would watch some of it with like my girlfriends, watch some with like my
Hmm.
family. Because it made it less stressful, I feel like.
Yeah, I could see
When
that.
I
I could
I
see
would tell
that.
my dad, I'm like, "Dad, this episode's gonna be a doozy. Let's get some
Yeah. Oh,
popcorn." Like,
that's
we're
good.
all gonna
That's good.
cringe.
Why? Oh my gosh. Yeah. And it's funny though, because like it's one of the only shows that gives me total anxiety. It
Yeah, I
does.
mean, it
It
gave me
really
anxiety
does.
watching it. I'm like, well, because
Yeah.
it's something like Love is Blind or The Bachelor or Bachelorette, like, the
Yes.
concept is very different.
It's totally different. Love is Blind, I watch and I'm intrigued. In fact, I've been watching the
Right,
one from the UK right now, but I don't sit there and get like real panicky. And this
right.
show causes me panic and the cringe moments. Like you're
Oh.
just like, yeah, there are more cringe moments in
It's the
it.
secondhand embarrassment where you're like, "Oh my gosh, this is terrible."
Right, right. I know.
You almost have
But
to,
it
like,
does,
fast forward through it.
right. It keeps you on the edge of your seat though. Absolutely. So, okay. So at what point, now I know it sounds like you kind of began getting to know David through working out at the gym. You both would go, your spouses didn't.
Yeah.
So, okay. Is that kind of how things started with you two?
Yeah, so we, were all put into, like, a combined whatever, like, apartment or whatever in Chicago when we got back from the honeymoon, and we were all filming pretty much every day, in addition to doing our, like, normal work. So that's kind of how they were able to it was nice
Oh,
that
I
they were
see.
flexible with our schedules.
Yeah.
But with that, for, like, my schedule, it means I like, working out for me is my stress relief, right? It's something that
Yeah.
keeps me, like, centered. I've always found my way to, like, just be more calm if I have fitness in my life.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, with my filming schedule, like, I'd be working from, 8 to 5, filming from 5:30 or 6 to 11 at
Oh,
night.
wow.
So the only
Okay.
time that I
Wow.
could really go to the gym would be early in the morning, and that's
Yeah.
kind of how it was for most of the other people too. Like, the first week that we were, in Chicago, I think there was, like, 5 of us in the gym early in the morning.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, and so because we were all just, like, getting into our routines, figuring out how we were gonna make all this work with our regular schedules. And then just at different times, like, David and I would be the only ones in the gym in the morning, and it was kind of just our time to just actually really get to know each other.
Mhm.
I knew that he was going through hell. I didn't know the
Yeah.
extent of it truly.
It was sad to watch. It was
Oh
I
my
mean, I
gosh,
have to say, I felt
when I watched
horrible for him.
yeah,
Horrible for him.
when I watched it live, like, he didn't even explain how bad it really was.
Oh, really? Yeah.
No,
No, it
like
was awful, and it was like I was actually very just to interrupt you for a second, but I was very happy when the very last episode of, like, Where Are You All Now? When Michelle finally apologized to him because her behavior was just cruel, I mean, mean, and so passive aggressive, like, the things she would say to him were just like, "Ouch," like yeah.
yeah. And I'm really glad for that too because I think it was a good closure moment of not everybody got what 100% what they wanted, right? And the partner that
Mhm,
they were
mhm,
matched with. I think it was just a matter of treating somebody so poorly that you don't know anything about. Like David's honestly taking my romantic connection with him out of it. Like he's one of the coolest people I know. Like such a fun, low key, down to earth guy. Like I would be
mhm.
friends with him regardless.
Right, right.
And I feel like it was just a missed opportunity for her to just have a good friendship
Yeah.
with a cool dude who wouldn't have pushed her boundaries at all. But you know, to each their own in that situation.
Yeah, yeah, I know, right? So, no, it's sort of like she just couldn't get out of her own way about him living at home and really not
Yeah,
quite living at home. I know when they said that and then it's this kind of separate apartment, separate entrance, etc. But she just couldn't get past that. How was it easy for you to get past or was it even a thing for you?
honestly, it wasn't like when we had first like after the show had wrapped and stuff, and I'd asked him, I'm like, hey, like, what's your plan? Like, because for me and I had even it was a question that Dr. Pepper had asked me during the interviews of, what if your partner lives at home? And I was like, it's
Oh,
all about context for me. Like if you're just being a lazy mooch, yeah, that's one thing versus if you're
right.
trying to save money or it's, helping out your parents, whatever. Like
Right.
I would love to want to stay at my family's house. People are lucky to have that
Right.
option, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think that people should take advantage of that. And it's super common, like in Latina cultures, Italian cultures, like big families, like it's very, very common. And so for me, I just wanted to know of like, what is your plan of wanting to move out
Right.
and the stuff like that. I never once thought differently of, oh, you live with your parents, like we can't be
Right, like you
together.
didn't see it as as something to
Yeah,
criticize or yeah,
right,
uh-huh, absolutely, or like a weakness in him. Yeah.
right.
Here's my biggest one. So my biggest one is so when you don't see them at all and you have no interaction at all, different from like Love is Blind, right? Where you're,
Mhm.
learning a lot about each other through this wall and just not seeing them. My biggest question is how do they account for chemistry? Because chemistry is such a biggie, and I've been in relationships that had no chemistry and it's not sustainable. It just, in my opinion. So how do you, yeah, because that's the one thing that seemed to get in the way repeatedly for people.
Yeah. And I think that's a hard one too, because you only are going to know if there's chemistry from the interactions,
Yep.
right? It's
Yeah.
like, I think that the easiest way to be able to sense it is when the experts get to meet the people. But at the same time, it's really hard to make that judgment call just based off of
Very.
their feeling, right? Like them as an individual thought that like Alan had this charisma and this like swag to him that like would really complement like my super active lifestyle where he's a little bit more sedentary. And like it was completely opposite, at least for me. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I felt like on the wedding day, yeah, we could, we were vibing, we were like having a good time. There was also like copious amounts of alcohol involved that day.
Right. Right.
But after that, like, I really quickly learned, I'm like, "We don't really have a lot in common," and it's like, I don't understand his humor, and there was, like, all these little things where I'm like, I'm just not seeing the connection of that chemistry where it's
Yeah.
really hard to force, and, you know, they always say, like, attraction can grow over time, which, like, yes, it's true, but, like, you have to have that kind of initial spark or
You
anything to
do.
get you
Yeah.
interested, and that's
Yeah.
why I had said a lot during the application process. I was like, physical attraction is important, and people that say it's not are just lying. Like,
Hmm.
truthfully, like
I agree.
any one person that says physical attraction isn't important, I mean,
No.
you're full of it,
Yeah.
truthfully.
Exactly. I
You're
agree with
trying to
you.
come off
Yeah.
you're trying to come off better, and it's like, there's nothing wrong with saying that. Like,
No.
it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be dating like a GQ model or like have a six
No.
pack, right? But it's like you have to find the person attractive to want to have some type of romantic connection with them.
Yeah, because in a lot of ways, it's like their persona, their whole, you know, character, personality, look, everything is going to cause like a reaction in you, right? It's
Right.
either going to be like, oh, this person's so nice, everything they say, they're so thoughtful. But then you're also going to go, is my body reacting to that? You know what I mean?
100%.
And is it
Yeah.
going ick or is it going like, ooh, a little
Right, like
excited there?
leaning in. I like this, I'm intrigued.
Yes. Right, and it's really yeah, it's interesting because I was, very shortly married to somebody else. I was married my husband and I this is actually my 3rd marriage, but there was one I had one for a long time, my original husband that is the father of my kids, and then was single for, like, dating here and there for, like, 15 years, and then got married, but I didn't have the strong chemistry with him, and I think in hindsight, a lot of it was like, I'm just tired. I'm tired of chasing
Yeah.
these men that don't want to commit, that are, it's just exhausting. And there was such a want of commitment from him. But I could never, I thought, okay, it'll grow, it'll get there, there'll be moment. It doesn't. If it's not there, it just doesn't. So yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. So that's what's hard with it sometimes. Cause even with like Camille, it sounds and Thomas, right? Like
Yeah.
did they have that chemistry, do you think?
You know, that's a good question 'cause I feel like right off the bat, I don't think they had a ton of chemistry. I
Mhm,
think there was enough between them. Like, I think, or I know that Camille was like, found Thomas attractive.
mhm.
I don't think that they had that initial chemistry that they have now. Like, now I think they've grown into so much more, which is like they're a perfect example of how it can work.
How it does grow then, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
but
yeah.
I know that I think Camille had, like, that initial attraction to Thomas and vice versa, so that even if the
Mhm.
chemistry wasn't there right away, the attraction
Right,
was there and the desire for the marriage
right,
of, "Hey,
was there
let's
from that.
let's stick it from this process and continue to learn," and, like, their
Yeah.
journey is very, status quo to how they hope every,
Yeah,
couple is
right.
in this, right? Well, the
Yeah.
rest of us, were just trying to figure it out.
And how are you in that for, like, 8 weeks, right? And, like, so you have this feeling like, "I don't know why they put Alan and I together. I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing the
Yeah.
connection." How do you I mean, 8 weeks is a long time when you think about it that way. When you think about it, it's 2 months that you're with this
Yeah.
person. How yeah, how did you just kinda get past that and keep trying?
Honestly, it was a lot. Like, I
Mhm,
think the anxiety and the stress that I was feeling because I was I was going through so many internal struggles, right? Of like, do I, just sit him down and just have a very honest conversation and be very blunt of like, hey, this isn't it, and just call it quits? Do I, try to force myself into something that I feel like deep down I already know the answer to?
mhm.
Yeah, it was a lot. And honestly, like, it really did help to have like other people that were going through not exactly the same thing,
But
but
similar, right,
similar, right? Like
right, mhm.
there's 10 of us individuals, 5 couples, and each person's going through their own unique journey. And so when we would do like girls things or group things and, people would kind of talk about their stuff, I was like, okay, well, at least I'm not the only one that's like somewhat panicking on the inside. But it's also bad because
Right.
you have all these like external opinions and, advice for things that
They
because
don't
again, like
really know.
yeah, exactly. Like they don't know me. They don't know. I mean, none of us really know each other. We've all known each other for, a few weeks and we get to
Yeah.
see each other like a few times in between filming. So, yeah, it was a lot. I would say like reality TV is just not for the faint of heart, especially if you're doing it for love. Like I would 100% do a like competition reality show, like
Yeah.
hands down. I've already found the love. I'm good,
Yeah.
because
Yeah. Absolutely.
when you're messing with your heart, I mean, because think about, I
Oh,
always tell people
it's so vulnerable.
it's so
And
vulnerable. Like think
yeah.
about any time where you've either been like your best version of yourself or the worst version of yourself. It's probably been because of love, usually, right?
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
I've been such a different version of myself in the worst and best ways because of love. So add cameras and a production crew for this, designated time frame and
Yeah.
so much filming, like it's a lot for sure.
It is definitely, yeah. I can only imagine. It seems very stressful. Um, okay. And so what did you find was just easier with David? How come that, when you started talking to him, getting to know him, can you kind of tell the difference when you have them kind of next to each other, right? You're sitting there and I'm sure you're going back and forth in your head. Like, why is this so much easier? It's not working with Alan. Why do I, feel like excited when I talk to David? Why am I not feeling? Are you able to kind of verbalize it now?
Yeah, I think with David, we have such similar views, appreciation for like family, and also just kind of personalities, is what I've
Mhm,
realized.
mhm.
David is someone who, his parents have been together for 36 years. Mine have not. I'm a child of divorce, so I didn't have,
Right.
all of that. But like, I've always wanted that very full family. And the way that his parents raised him is very I describe him as this very, like, traditional, like, gentlemanly soul. Like,
Hmm.
there's not a lot of them like him anymore just because
Mhm.
of society and social media and everything, but, like, he's the one that picks up women's bags. Like, he was the one at the honeymoon that was picking up all the wives' bags, opening up all the doors. He
Yeah.
walks on the outside of the curb for me. Like,
Mhm.
he's a very genuine person, and he's not somebody who has had a lot of trauma that he hasn't dealt with, which is so important. Like, I was obviously going through therapy after the show. I wish I would have started it before, but like trauma can totally change relationships and how you are as a person. And I feel like
Yeah.
I have my own set of stuff. And like, I don't know, the way that David is as like a person and a man is what I feel like most women look for. Just so caring, genuine, you know, wants to listen to you. Like the
Yeah.
conversations were very, back and forth.
Mm.
And I just felt this comfortability with him.
Yeah.
There was no pressure, right?
Yeah,
Wasn't
absolutely. That is
didn't just
true.
yeah, didn't just walk down the aisle and marry the
Yeah,
dude.
exactly. That's interesting. You're right, because the other one is so full of pressure and you're under a
Yeah,
microscope. Yeah. Yeah.
right. And it's like you automatically have this pressure of, well, we're already married, so it's like we're working backwards. Where it's
Mhm.
like me and David, like we did start out as just friends. Like we got very close of kind of trauma bonding, more or less, but like
Right, right.
with similar
Yeah.
situations. And, on the Allen side, it was like, oh, we just got married, where I kind of wanted to like start a friendship to see if it could grow more. Cause I feel like some people go, 50-50 on it. Like, oh, you
Mhm.
know, you're friends with your romantic partner, like you're going to be friend zone. And I'm like, actually, no, like David's my best friend. Like I would hang out with him over anybody any day because I tell him everything. I love being
Yeah.
around him. He's not somebody I'm trying to escape.
Right.
And
Which is
I
how it
think,
should be. Yeah. It should
right,
be that's the person you
100%.
enjoy hanging out with. Yeah, absolutely.
And I just feel like having that foundation for a friendship is so important and where you can be more successful, but you don't necessarily get that right away
Yeah.
with the
Yeah.
experiment.
No, not at all. I just it's which is why I get the anxiety. I
Yes.
have that whole empath personality. So I'm like feeling
Yeah,
your pain in it and going, "Oh my god,
for
I'm
real.
stressing for her."
Gosh,
Like, yeah.
I'm sure I stressed you out hard.
You did. You did. So tell me how the cast end up kind of finding out this whole thing about David, just for those of you who haven't seen it yet. But tell me, so how, and they were pretty hard on you, I thought.
Yeah.
Um, how did you navigate that? Are you still friends with them? And how did you navigate? I'm sure you got some crummy hate social media stuff,
Oh, yeah.
which is lousy, because it's not fair. Like, you're in a really unique situation. I don't think any of us can just easily judge it. So,
Right.
how did you navigate all of that?
Yeah, I mean, during filming, it was very, very hard to navigate because
Hmm.
I feel like we were in this little bubble, and it's very easy to, like, feel all of this, like, the pressures and intensity in this bubble,
Yeah.
when in reality, like, I watch it back, and I got angrier when I was watching it back because I just feel like it was such a situation where, like, no one else should have been involved but Michelle, Alan, David, and I, truthfully.
Hmm. Yeah.
Like, it was nobody else's business. I don't think anybody should have had any opinion on the matter. I also understand that, like, production is asking questions and trying to push for more drama, so I know that,
I,
like,
okay.
that's
Yeah.
something that probably
That's probably,
facilitated,
we
like,
don't see that. Yeah.
yeah, because the whole me and David situation became the center focal point for the
It
entire
did.
season. It took away from the other people's, like, journeys and stuff, which I hated because that's not what the show is about, and I think they just focused on the wrong thing. The premise of the show is to have these long-lasting couples, obviously, and no, David and I took, like, a weird roundabout way to get there, but, like, we are still a successful couple that came from the
Hmm.
show. We would
Hmm.
not have met without it, and I just think that the reaction from some of the other cast members that was so, like, visceral was very uncalled for and inappropriate. Camille and Thomas were the, like, 2 that stayed very neutral during the whole
That's
thing, which I
good.
really
Right. Right.
appreciated because I think that's how everybody should have responded. Because they didn't really like, they liked Alan, they liked Michelle, they liked David, they liked me, and they were like, "We're not directly involved in this, like, it's a weird situation. We love everybody and we're gonna support everybody." It's not about choosing sides, right? Like, it's
Right.
very,
Right. Well,
very
others did.
immature.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it seemed
Hmm.
very, "Oh, like, well, whose side are you on?" Which to me is just ridiculous. Like, this was at this
Yeah.
point, we knew each other for 6 weeks. Like, I don't know anything about you people.
Right,
Like,
exactly, right. Why come off
so
so hard and
yeah,
judgmental?
yeah,
Yeah, in
and
something that was
like,
wrong. And the part that frustrated me about that more than anything when I thought about it later was that it sort of gave Michelle this like, okay, so it was good that I was mean because he's not
right,
a good
because he
guy,
deserved it. Yeah,
and
I totally
that
agree.
bugged me because it was like, no, 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 you didn't
Like,
even
2
try, Michelle.
2 wrongs
So
don't make a right, right? Yeah,
exactly. Like, yeah, like she did not give that marriage a try at all. David did. And but boy,
yeah,
when he got such a wall back from him,
yeah.
from her that, yeah, that was frustrating. So are you still connected with everybody? Do you see them or?
So, Camille and Thomas, those are 2, like, the 2 that we really, like, hang out with. We usually try to
Hmm.
do at least something, like, once a month with them, which is
Nice.
good. The other ones, like, not really. I mean, if we saw them
Hmm.
out, I'd say hi. I don't have any bad blood against anybody, but we
Yeah.
don't really
Yeah.
run in the same circles, and, there was some other drama. I don't know if you had seen it with, like, Juan and Carla and them and stuff, so the group
Yeah.
settings are not
Yes.
really, a thing, I don't think, anymore.
Oh, are they taking those out? Yeah.
Yeah,
That
I
was
think
someone I read that on social media that like, why are you interacting so much with all the other couples? Because that just causes, I mean, that's
so
just the
much.
breeding ground for what happened with you and David. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So, um, yeah, so Camille and Thomas, we love them. We hang out with them quite a bit, and then, everyone else, if I saw them, I'd say hi, but don't really go out of our way to hang out with them
Yeah.
by any
Yeah.
means. But yeah, and then the last part on the social media stuff, I think I timed my social media pretty well. So, like, I had completely locked down my social media pretty much until, like, the entire season wrapped, and I, like, opened it up, like, after the reunion when I think, like, most of the hate had, like, died down. Like, there was a while where it was, like, very,
Was it?
very intense, where I'm like, just the things that people say where I'm like, I don't understand where people come from of, like, just being so intense on, like, physical, you know clothing, like, just tearing down anything that they could. Like, "Oh, everything
Yeah.
about her is so fake," and, like, from the extensions
Yeah.
and the lashes and the boobs, and I'm like, all this, and I'm like, "Why don't you just let people do what they want and,
Exactly.
like,
Yeah.
just not have an opinion?" Like, so it was a lot, and I I didn't look at any of the comments. It was more of like I
Good.
have my grandma's on Facebook and there's like a Facebook group, so she would like be in there being like my keyboard warrior bag. I was like, "Gaga, like don't even worry about it. They're not worth your time."
Well, that's funny. She's trying. Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't think you came across as fake at all, to be honest. So,
Thank you. I appreciate that.
not at all. And, yeah, hair extensions, whatever. Me too. So, it doesn't,
Right.
none
I
of
mean,
that.
like I'm like, let
But I
people
thought
do what they want.
but I thought your personality came across as very authentic and kind. I thought really kind. So,
Thank
yeah,
you.
I didn't get that vibe at all. So, just so you know,
Good.
you can tell them to go away.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. And so now where is life headed for you with David? So you both live together now, right?
We do. Yes, we've lived together for about a year now. We are looking for a bigger place. We don't have a lease here because I own my condo here, and so we don't have like a specific timetable, which is great. But we would like
Yeah.
to get like a bigger place with, a yard, be
Yeah.
on a be on more lower level. We're on a high condo building right now, so we're living in the
Mhm.
concrete jungle.
Right.
But yeah, and then for our wedding, so I think that 2027 will probably be our year. We're not officially
Oh, how
engaged yet, but that's
exciting.
that's happening soonish. So
Oh, good. I mean, you
mhm,
could tell right away. And that's what I liked, and that's also what made me frustrated with people's reactions was it was not a fling for you guys.
no,
And that was apparent from the minute it started.
yeah,
Like it was not a fling. It was a genuine connection of two souls. And it's like,
yeah,
why put all this judgment on it? And, it was, I mean, the fact that you guys found each other anyway is pretty great. So yeah.
right. I mean, it honestly like I didn't expect to find like my person, and I
Right.
didn't even know it was real. Truthfully, like they always say, when you know, you know. I'm like, what the hell does
Mm-hmm.
that even mean? How am I gonna
Mm-hmm.
know when I know? But it's true. Like he
It
is
is
my
true. How would you
absolute
describe that
best
to
friend.
somebody? How do you describe that when you know you know?
When you literally can just be your most authentic self with your partner.
Mhm,
There
mhm,
is no shame, no lying, no hiding, like, they are your
mhm.
best friend, you just want to be with them, like, I've never been in a relationship where I just miss them the moment that they're gone, or I just
Yeah,
wanna be with them, like,
yeah.
he is my biggest cheerleader, he is the one that I give all of my crappy dad jokes to, and we just have the best time. We have so much fun together, and, that's not to say that we haven't gotten into little, like, argument spats,
Of
but
course, that's normal.
we're
Yeah,
we're
of
always
course.
so I think, like, the underlying thing is we're both so respectful of each other. Like, when we speak to
That's
each other,
huge.
when
Yeah.
we make plans, like, we respect the other person, and we are always taking the other one into consideration, and I think that's, like, the biggest difference for me.
Yeah, I think it's really telling, how a couple fights actually tells you more than how when they're just having fun.
Oh,
How they
absolutely.
fight is huge, and, like, yeah, I
Yep.
mean, my husband and I, we've never said mean word. Like, we might
No.
say, "I'm really mad,"
Yeah.
but I'm not gonna go like, "Okay, you're a jerk," or "You're a,"
Right. Yeah, like,
or
no name
worse words. That
calling.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, name calling is all you can't come back from that when you
I
start it
agree.
just starts to break down or deteriorate the whole thing. What do you think you learned the most about yourself during this process?
Oh, about myself? I mean,
Mhm,
I feel like I learned how strong and resilient I am.
mhm.
Honestly, like I think going through the show was it was a little traumatizing, honestly. Like it was crazy being treated the way that I was treated by, some of the cast members, some of the experts, and then people
Right, that
online.
was
And
harsh from the experts too, I thought.
yeah, I mean, and I just like there was so much I feel like if I would have done the show where I'm at now with all the therapy and like healing that I've done,
Yeah.
you would see a very different Madison on that show of, like, just not standing for that shit, truthfully, because
Mhm,
I
mhm,
just learned how to stand up for myself and, I apologized for things on the show a long time ago, and I will always stand by, like, yes, there are things that I wish I could have done differently, but I will never apologize for falling in love with David and finding him and, for
mhm,
just being myself, and, I hope and I pray for the people who are trolls to any person online
mhm.
because you know what, it is a huge reflection of just
Yeah,
the unhappiness that they
it
they have in their
is.
lives, and that's something that
Definitely,
I've
yeah.
realized it has nothing to do with me.
Oh, that's good. No, and I thought you did well, like that one where both you and David are talking to the experts, and I think you say something like, "For that, I'm not going to," like you put your boundaries on that. I thought that was good.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like,
Yeah,
"We're done talking about this,"
yeah,
because
exactly. Because
you're talking to me like I'm a toddler child.
right, right, exactly.
Don't need to be here.
Very true. Very, very true. Okay. If you were to tell somebody like, so we talk on the show all the time about a life beautifully built, that it just, things don't just happen in our life. It takes work. We have to
Yeah.
like put things in the right place and to allow for great things to happen, etc. What would you tell people? How is a relationship beautifully built
Oh my
versus
gosh.
one that's not? Any
Yes,
thoughts there? Yeah.
absolutely. I think a relationship is beautifully built through communication, so much communication. Like, your relationships will fail so quickly, any of them, if you do not have communication. Like,
Hmm.
me and David, we over communicate with each other on plans, on our feelings, on everything,
Oh,
because
that's good. Yeah.
that's how we're able to be most vulnerable, and then,
Hmm.
you know, get rid of bad habits. Like, everybody who's ever been in a bad relationship has bad habits that they usually bring to their new relationship.
Right. Right.
And me and David are not, free from that either. So it's like, I know his triggers and he knows mine too, where it's like, if one of us starts falling into those old habits too, like, we'll call each other out, where I'm like,
Yeah.
we don't do that. I'm not here to hurt you, remember?
Right.
And it's super helpful when like your partner knows your past and like what's made you
Mhm.
into who you are, because it
Right.
will really help in the future if, like, again, nobody's perfect, right? And if like you have a reaction to something and they don't know what might have caused it, they're gonna be like, "Was this
Right.
chick just crazy, or like what just happened?"
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Because sometimes you can see it's like the reaction isn't even, doesn't seem appropriate. So
Right.
there's something else. Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
backstory, like, there's something that triggered it
Yes.
for
Right.
sure.
Right. Okay. I have like a couple of quick fire questions for you that
Yes.
might just make it fun for some of the viewers because I feel like we really got to know you and I loved that. Okay. So let's see here. So coffee or wine,
Ooh, coffee or wine? If I had
right?
to choose, I gotta
Had
say
to.
wine. I gotta
Yeah,
say
me too.
wine. Yeah, I mean, you got to.
Yeah. First thing you do when you wake up in the morning.
First thing I do when I wake up, actually, I'll probably make a cup of coffee.
Okay, that's funny. Yeah. What is one that is really funny? What is one thing you wish you had said on the show but you didn't?
Ooh,
Because
one thing that
now's
I
your
wish I
chance.
said? Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's kind of an interesting one. I feel
It's
like
a hard
anything that I
one.
wish that
Yeah.
I could go back and do differently would have just been to, like, be super straight up and blunt with, like, Alan
Yeah.
very early on. That's, like, my biggest, like, regret, or just, like, what I would go back, because I feel like it could have prevented a lot of the craziness and the hurt that came out after the
Right. But it's
fact.
a hard thing to do too. And I
It
don't
is,
think
yeah.
it came across to me that like you didn't how do I put this? You didn't avoid those tough conversations, but you were kind. And it's like those are
Yes,
hard to have and they're
very.
hurtful. And so you're like, yeah, I would be the same. Having that kind of conversation, knowing it's going to hurt the other person, that's a hard one to
Yeah.
do. Okay. Best piece of advice you've ever received.
Best piece of advice is comparison is the thief of joy. Live your life yourself, and
I love
don't
that.
don't look at somebody else's life and compare it to yours. Everybody's different, and things aren't
Hmm.
always as they appear, as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I think
Very
that's
good.
the thing, especially with social media, is that we all see this facade and don't actually know the behind the scenes.
Yeah. Yeah. And we have to give you guys all grace for just putting yourself in that vulnerable position. And okay, what is your biggest ick when it came to dating or now that you're not dating anymore, but
Yeah.
what was your biggest ick?
I feel like my biggest ick is people who are rude to, like, servers.
Oh yeah.
That's, like, my
Right.
biggest ick. Like, there's absolute like, I'd probably, like, walk out, not even stay for the rest of the meal, and I'd probably, like,
Yeah.
throw down some money to pay for it just
Right.
from
And just
principle. Because
right.
I've been in the service industry, my family's been in the service industry, and I feel like that's a huge,
Yeah.
it shows who you are as a person for sure.
definitely. So you and David are getting married then, we're thinking 27, right? Is
Yes.
that yes, it's exciting. Do you will all these people be invited? The castmates?
God, I know that's one thing is we have to go through our big
Yeah.
list of,
Yeah,
because the thing is
and you
it's
don't
like
have to
between
answer that. That's
yeah, I mean,
okay.
between David and I, we have so many, like, just long-term friends, so
Yeah,
it'll be interesting to go through that list and figure out who's invited.
right.
Camille and Thomas will be there,
Yeah, that's good.
but can't say an invite will go to anyone else.
Yeah. And then do you feel like your intuition was helping you read the situation correctly and you listened to it, or it was but you didn't listen to it, or that you just were not in check with your intuition throughout it?
Throughout the season?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think my intuition was pretty spot on, which is something that's always been there. I just feel like I wasn't listening to it at times, and I was trying to
Yeah.
kinda convince myself out of it during the whole process, and because even during, like, the couples retreat when obviously, like, everything kinda blew up, I knew that something bad was gonna happen. Like, I just, like, felt it in
You
my
did.
bones. I was like, "Things do not feel right." Like, the tension is crazy. Didn't know
Yeah.
what was gonna happen, but,
Yeah, definitely. No, I know it was, yeah. Oh, that was stressful. Yeah, when you got up and walked out when it was like they were still talking about the thing and you're like, that's I'm like, oh boy, here we go. It's gonna
I
get bad.
know, I know.
It's gonna get bad. Um, okay, I'm looking that I've asked you, I think everything. Let me ask you one other thing. So I know that there was Carla and
Juan?
I'm sorry, and Juan. Yeah, their relationship for a while seemed like it was going in the right direction, but then I've since heard from him on other things that there was some bad stuff that went down between them. Did everybody get to see that or not?
No, I mean, during, like, the season, they seemed like I don't think I ever really saw, like, the romantic connection between them. I think
Right. No.
they were just kinda
Hmm.
going through the process and the flow more as friends, but then, like, the drama that happened after the show between, like, Carla's family and Carla and him, I don't really know what happened with that, to be honest. Like, I just saw all the social media posts of different things, and I just kinda
Mm,
stayed out of it a little bit as far as I
yeah.
know, I don't think they're in any contact anymore, so whatever friendship they had is no longer.
Okay. Oops. Yeah, we didn't get that at the end of that. They looked like they were still kind of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, what do you think David would say about the whole experience? Is he thankful he went through it? I mean, I know for sure
Oh,
to have met you, but yeah,
absolutely. I think he would do it we would both do it ten times over if it got us to the end result, for sure.
right.
I think for him, he was just kinda bummed because he didn't really get an experience,
He
like, they
didn't.
didn't really get to do any of, like, because even with, the dates and stuff that Al and I went on, like, we still had fun and we, got to learn about each other and, like, we still did stuff off camera, and he didn't really get that experience at all,
Mm-mm.
so I feel like he just was filming when he had to film and didn't really like filming because it wasn't, enjoyable, but if the experience led him to me, I know that he'd do it all over again.
Oh, that's good. And what would one of the words he would use to describe you be?
Me? I mean, he always just talks about, like, how genuine I am,
Mm, hmm.
authentic, and
Hmm.
he's always loved that because he's gotten to see just so many of my friends and family, and, I'm just a very loving and nurturing person with the people that are in my life,
Yeah.
and now he's
And
one of
now
the most
he's,
important, so I
yes,
get to enjoy
exactly.
it all.
Very, very nice. Well, it has been such a pleasure to have you on here.
Yeah, thank you
I
so much
hope
for
that
talking to
you'll
me.
yeah, I hope you'll kinda keep in touch and keep us
Yeah,
posted on your exciting news and what's
absolutely.
yeah, and so one last question to kind of close it off, which I usually ask everybody is this whole podcast is really about a life beautifully built. Now that you and David are together, what do you see that looking like? What will your life beautifully built look like? What's in
Yeah,
your
I
plans?
mean, we're both working hard to, build a family and a life together, and we started traveling more, like, travel's been a passion of mine, and I've gotten him into it, which has been
Oh,
great.
good. Yeah, I love
Yeah,
traveling.
so we went to Cancun about a month ago, and then we actually went to Turkey, in June.
Wow. Yeah.
So, yeah, we just right now we really just want to enjoy each other for the next
Hmm.
couple of years and just continue to learn and love and grow and then, eventually expand into our own little family.
Oh, exciting. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Madison. It has been a complete pleasure.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for listening to Beautifully Built. If today's episode gave you something to think about, or better yet, fired you up to build bolder, be sure to follow, subscribe, and leave a review. You can find me on Instagram at Karen Otis-Webb for more behind the scenes, design inspo, and life building magic. Remember, you're not here to play small. You're here to build something real because a life worth living isn't found, it's built. Until next time, stay bold, stay brilliant, and stay unapologetically you.